Alright, let's go to freaking court. We got freaking Beard Man. Yep. Talking about when it all happened. When it all happened, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. Uh-huh. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decos that day. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. You had a large mirror in between the tables. Ooh, perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. La cup, la earpiece, and la glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, no? Great. Mirror? Uy, un grand mirror. La most enormous mirror. And suddenly the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. That would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front. What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Okay, why does the mirror not make sense? Très bien, cross-examination. When it all happened, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. Hold it. And who were the 2 customers exactly? Mice, of course. The young man who died. And the other, not so young man. You are referring to yesterday's witness, I presume. What about the other man Maggie says she saw at the table? Yep, did not appear. Something tells me Mr. Armstrong isn't planning to disclose his existence. We need some hard evidence first before we can bring him up, don't we? I guess I'll just have to try a different approach for the time being. Yeah, that we will. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decos that day. Hold it. You were experimenting with art deco? How come I never heard about that before today? You are not familiar with the language of interior design, monsieur. Please stay on topic. Now, why didn't you tell the court about this before? But I did, just a few moments ago. Ahem. Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong. This deco you mentioned, are you referring to some sort of decorature? No, art deco. It is a style of design, Your Honor. He's talking about interior design. Walls, ceilings, carpets, that kind of thing. Ah, yes, of course. That deco. I was trying to achieve a more effeminate look for my restaurant. I was planning the most bold remodeling of la decor. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Even between the tables. Wouldn't be able to see themselves then? That's what I don't understand. How big of a mirror are we talking about here? Off! Something about 4 meters wide and about 2 meters high. Let's see, if 1 meter is about 1 yard, holy, glass in a frame, that's huge. I was intending to install it on the ceiling eventually. The ceiling? Was there a mirror on the ceiling? I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think I ever saw it though. Nice, no. But I decided not to go through with it in the end. What should I do? Should I ask him more about the mirror or not? Yeah, we press. If you really had such a large mirror in the restaurant, someone would have noticed it. But there's nothing about a mirror in Mr. Kudo or Maggie Bird's testimonies. But
Objection!
objection. You didn't ask, right? You only have yourself to blame for such sloppy work. What? A mirror was delivered to Trebia on the day before the incident. Really? As Mr. Armstrong testified, he was carrying out some design changes. And as it turned out, he didn't actually use the mirror in the end. This just doesn't add up. Even if a mirror was delivered to Trebia, it doesn't prove that it was in the restaurant on the day of the crime. Ha! If you want to doubt someone, right, look in the mirror. I am sure the person looking back at you will be dubious enough. So the witness yesterday had seen the victim reflected in a mirror. It still doesn't make sense. Perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. Where was the mirror? Show me in the diagram. Normally, I'd expect people to know the difference between a reflection and a real object.
Objection!
Objection, right. Normally, how does normality come into this? That's lame, right? Even for you. Huh? Are you trying to say that if something isn't normal, it isn't possible? Is that it? Where does that leave the pock-headed lawyer and the top-notch chick over there? Great. And the ungodly cool guy with the mask over here. Well tried? Ah, not the hair. I do not have a top knot. Mr. Godot is correct. A lack of normality is no basis for discounting an argument. Bien, logic is one la de. Great. La cup, la earpiece, and la glasses. He would have seen everything in the reverse, no? Hold it there. Everything. He would have seen everything in reverse. Alright. Hey Nick, we should take a sec and think about what old CD said in his testimony. How did he phrase it again? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear, without a doubt. And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup, his left hand. If he saw everything he described reflected in a mirror, then everything he said he saw on the left was actually on the right, huh? And that clears up all the problems with his testimony, I guess. Or does it? Ha! Kinda hard to believe everything's the fault of a mirror, but do you think old CD saw everything through a reflection? If he did, it would explain all the contradictions in his testimony. But that just makes the situation worse for Maggie. There's gotta be something in that old man's testimony. We've just gotta dig deeper. The old man's testimony. You mean this thing? I broke the vase at my seat, I'm sorry. And also this. I mean, where's the mirror right here? There's no mirror. Maybe that could be the thing. That's the problem. I don't know. Maybe. Alright. So, they're saying he saw everything in a mirror. Right? I remember I was experimenting with some new art deco set there. Large mirror between the tables, for example. So here, do not load, save. I'm like, well, we have a crime scene photograph, right? We have this crime photo. I don't see a mirror here. There ain't no mirror in the photo. What the hell? Wrong then. Why would a mirror not be there? Computer virus, millionaire radio, gumshoe lunchbox, medical paper, ear medicine, matches for advertising. But that is all about tender lender and stuff. Now talking about having a large mirror. Perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. The cup, earpiece, and the glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, no? Then when the incident occurred, I broke the vase at my seat. I'm sorry. Stone's debt, but then again, this is his link, his motive, but that doesn't really change anything here. The photo, I guess it doesn't show his face at all, so he could have been holding it in any, could have been holding the cup in any hand. I still don't see the mirror here. Covered in victim and Maggie's fingerprints. Painting ticket worn by Maggie. Small pocket, big stains. Deadly powder. What do we hold it here and say? Everything would have seen everything in reverse. How did he phrase it? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question, it was his left ear without a doubt. Same hand to pick up the cup, his left hand. So we're saying everything was right. That still doesn't make sense in the crime scene photo, right? Because if he was indeed seeing the right, which he thought was the left, but he was sitting on the right, he could see the right actually, then that would mean he had to be sitting the other side, right? Everything is on the left, actually on the right, and it clears up all problems, or does it? It's kind of hard to believe. We'll see the very expensive contradiction. There's got to be something, got it deeper. The cup, the earpiece, and the glasses. Again, I'm like, it doesn't make sense with the photograph. The photograph shows him clearly sitting here. Right? Like, look at this. If there was a mirror here, I mean, I guess even if he was sitting there in the mirror, he would have seen himself in the mirror though. What do you mean there was a mirror? Makes no freaking sense. Objection! Where would the mirror even be? Something about left and right or something. The victim was a programmer, wore an HMD over left eye. Bro, it says. Objection! Okay, who the hell updated that then? The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt. So, to summarize, We were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw all that as a reflection in a mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side. Exactamente. You see, Monsieur, now that you think about it, it is not so hard, no? No. Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head? When did that get updated? When did we even learn that? Order. Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over his right eye.
Objection.
You changed it, you think? I don't think so. How bitter. Right, you should have a taste of this bitterness. It will calm you down in no time. Are we talking about your coffee or something completely different? You don't understand the way the witness thinks. How he thinks. You remember this, I presume? I broke the vase, sorry, apology Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony. Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elg? Clearly, it's the victim's eyepiece. And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man. Coffee time? Ma'am? I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Do you hear? His left ear. Give me a second. Alright. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Do you hear? His left ear. Do you think he was just mistaken? Oh, come on. That doesn't make sense. Ha! Well tried. That's weak. Irk. That's the worst but best impression of Kudo ever. Wow, I really thought he was old CD for a minute there. Godard's good. Enough. I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony. Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of a contradiction you found is just a rash. Great. A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We are all ears. Oui, I can explain. Please, if you will look at la plans of the restaurant. The mirror. Yes, please explain where the hell this mirror was. Alores, is everyone sitting comfortably? La mirror. It was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. Okay. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of the victim. Okay, I see. So he was not here as I thought he was there. Watching him through the mirror here. Okay. That was la seat at the table next to la victims. That was where la old man was sitting. After the terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. Well, you should have said that before, because I kept asking why is it not why it's a freaking contradiction that the mirror is not in the photo. But whatever. Okay. But naturally, I did not touch anything else. False. There you go. There's your contradiction. You took the ear medicine. I see no problems with the explanation we have just heard. From the table next to the victims, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror. What a naughty little coquette I am, confusing all the men like this. Don't worry about it. More coffee time? We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there again. Me? Ag, I hate that guy. You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that? Voluntaries, of course. Very well. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please. Yeah, he stole something. We know this. The mirror, cross-examination. The mirror, it was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. Hold it. So, run this by me again. The mirror was here, correct? Oui. Oui? Really? Because I know if I were you, I wouldn't have put a mirror there. It would be in the way.
Objection!
Objection. Look who's talking, right? Huh? You are obstructing my view, among other things. But, this is my seat in the courtroom. Très Bien's charm is that it gives you the impression that you are the only customer. Because you are. Temporarily placing a mirror in that spot would hardly be in the way. Unlike you, right? I tell you, monsieur, la mirror was there, in the middle of la restaurant. Great. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of la victim. Hold it. And where would that be? Oh la la, look how you lean towards me. I always attract the younger boys. Maybe I should keep you in suspense a little longer. Mr. Armstrong, tell the court what you know at once. I attract the older ones too, you know. Handsome, shall I tease you too? No? Nah. Great, coffee time. I am already seeing a very hot someone, so I'm afraid you will be waiting for a long time. I bet she has mocha cream skin and cappuccino perfume. Yeah, I will tell you. There was only one seat from which you could have seen... That was the seat at the table next to the victims. That was where the old man was sitting. Hold it. So why can you only see the victim from that particular seat? Nice, monsieur. It is obvious, no? If you look at the plans, you will understand. The victim would have been reflected in the mirror like so. If you were sitting at the table next to him, you would see everything, no? So that's the seat old CD was sitting in on that day, when the poisoning happened. The old man was sitting at the table next to the victim? Why does that seem kinda odd? After the terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. You just said it was in the way. Did you move the mirror while Mr. Kudo was off calling the police? Oui, exactamente. I carried it out of la restaurant Zen. You moved a huge mirror like that all by yourself? What can I say? I know how to pick things up, handsome. Great. Heh. Godot actually laughed at something. Well, given the witness's physique, I suppose it is possible. Did you move anything else from the crime scene, Mr. Armstrong? I look like the obligating type, no? But naturally, I did not touch anything else. Okay, give me a second. Alright, did not touch anything else, which is a complete lie, but we'll hold it. Are you sure about that? I touched nothing except la mirror. Mr. Wright, is there something the witness has said that doesn't match the crime scene? Yeah, there is. I just can't put my finger on what exactly. Ha! Suffering from a case of heartburn, right? Oh, I have just a thing for that. An oil with golden myrrh and Frankenstein? The hell? Add a few drops to your coffee and voila! Enjoy. Focus, Phoenix. Breathe. I need to ignore those two and just find some evidence. It is pretty strange though, isn't it? Give me a second. Alright. What was I doing? It is pretty strange though, isn't it? I mean, nobody mentioned anything about a really large mirror. You'd think someone would have, but Maggie didn't, and neither did old Silly. Can't we just ask Maggie? Then the only logical explanation is that there was no mirror inside Trebian that day. He was sitting on the other chair, that's it. Now I've just got to prove it, somehow. Well, what I'm gonna do now will not prove that, but it will prove that he is lying. Did not touch anything else, which is just wrong, because... What do you mean? What do you mean, bro? What are you talking about? Bro, game's dumb. Did not touch anything else. Victim's ear medicine is in the kitchen, bro. What do you call that? Not touching anything? This maybe? Brother. What do you mean I don't follow you? It does clearly contradict. Yeah, what are you? These people are crazy, bro. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of la victim. That was la seat at the table next to the la victims. That was where the old man was sitting. After la terrible incident occurred, I moved la mirror so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else. But it still doesn't explain the eyepiece. I mean, he's just saying, oh, he was mistaken about the eyepiece. Okay. Picked up from bench, trivia lunch, my phony, this is dead. I broke the vase at my seat. Bro! Got your ass! I got your ass! He broke the vase. In the photo, the vase is clearly visible. Get screwed, buddy. Your Honor, Mr. Kudo's words yesterday strongly contradict Mr. Armstrong's testimony. This is the letter of apology that was written by Mr. Kudo, is it not? I realize it looks useless, Your Honor, but this is still testimony. Ha! I guess useless people are only really good at identifying useless things. What relevance does this scrap of paper have to the trial, Mr. Wright? Mr. Kudo's testimony is actually very relevant to the question at hand, Your Honor. Because it very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. Okay, the photograph. I get it. They want to just check. Take that! This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we have heard, Your Honor. The crime photo. Yeah, look at it. The glass is there. The vase, I mean. Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist. What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright? They're gonna make me point it out? Really? Should not exist. Ha! Sounds like you're describing yourself, right? Gabo? Now then, if the defense would please clarify its statement. What is the something that should not exist in this photo? The freaking vase, bro, the vase. There is one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all.
Objection!
Objection? Really? Slam? Don't be an idiot, right? That's impossible. That seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from. Exactly. Oh, got him. There is only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Trevian that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie. On you! Got his ass.
Objection!
Objection, really? Don't try to confuse the court, right? Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase. He said he didn't touch anything. While the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene.
Objection!
No. Unfortunately, Mr. Godot, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary. In his own words, I did not touch anything else except the mirror. He's steaming. Slurping up his coffee. Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself? Sniffle. Great, nothing. I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day. In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. He's lying. Obviously, this guy is shady. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear in which he couldn't hear? He was on the other seat, I guess. Ha! You only get one shot in life. There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, right? Then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw? If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it. He was sitting on the other chair. That's all I can think of. I don't know. Are you going to be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick? There's more than just this one contradiction, Maya. What do you mean? Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table. Maybe he had... Maybe he was the one with the earpiece. I don't know. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. It does. And I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up. Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer. Override me again. Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradictions in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple. He made a mistake, the ear doctor made a mistake, the victim was a phony. The victim was a phony. Mr. Kudo made... What the hell? The victim was a phony. The ear doctor made a mistake. The victim was a phony, I guess. This case is riddled with contradictions. Yet, there is one very simple answer that clears them all up. And what is that? The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events. What? Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter, a phony pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake. So, coffee time. Spit it out? Yep. Phew. Yep. Okay. He has a pink chef's hat too. Wow. Order. Order in the court. Settle down or I'll clear the courtroom. Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh? What did you say? Right. Are you saying that what Mr. Kudo saw was a setup with only one person? Then the real freaking guy got in there. Okay. Yes. Someone pretended to be Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning. All for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kudo.
Objection!
Objection, slam. Get real, right? Why would anyone want to do that? Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most insistent about in his testimony was the serving girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it, yep. And that someone was actually the freaking girl, that, what is her name? The dark girl. That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. It's so hard to believe, but there was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee.
Objection!
Objection. Are you insinuating that the waitress in the old man's story was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but... Slam. It's also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening. That's right. Well, witness? If your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct? Oh la la, this is most difficult for me.
Objection!
He's in on it. No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Trebian that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened. The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain in detail the events in the restaurant that day. We've got him. He's breaking. Witness testimony in the restaurant. La victime, Monsieur Elg, he came to my restaurant alone. I remember la old man arrived not long after him. There were no other customers. When he got word he won la lottery, Mon Elg became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that la poisoning incident occurred. No, there was no time for the phony to do la acting. 5 minutes, huh? When is the show? When did he die? Just so we are clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant. After all, je vous demande pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up quickly. Admitting you're lying. What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong. I will decide how to punish you later. Ooh. For now, we will hear your cross-examination. Mr. Wright, if you please. He took that perjury charge a bit too well. But I am guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. Yeah, lying again will be even worse. In the restaurant, cross-examination. The victim, Monsieur Elg, came to my restaurant alone. Okay, 1 second. So, when was the radio show? There's the flyer here. At 1:30. Okay, it's exactly at 1:30 it's declared. When did the victim die? Between 1:30 and 2:30. The timing there, I think, doesn't make sense. Maybe. We'll see. Came to my restaurant alone. Hold it. Was he alone at his table as well? Nice, oui. I saw him from the kitchen. Yet the defendant, Miss Bird, remembers it differently. She swears there was another man at the victim's table. Objection. Ha! Unfortunately for you, right? Yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. That's because it was a fake. Act out. No. You know, seeing you squirm like that reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite. What kind of coffee has he been drinking? It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet. Great. Hearing Maya say that makes her seem wise all of a sudden. Great. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. Hold it. By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct? Oui, he comes often for my special coffee. I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special. I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience. Oh, you make me so happy, monsieur. You are most welcome anytime. I said it was worth one sip and nothing more. So old Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. The coffee's terrible, you know this. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. What time was it? Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived? Oh no, I cannot remember, monsieur. I believe we were told by a witness yesterday. The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man, sir. Okay. Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness? The incident happened around 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 p.m. and 2:10 p.m., no? Just after 2, huh? Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, monsieur. You are wonderful. Ha ha ha! I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I? The time of the day will be added to the witness's testimony. Oui, Monsieur Judge. Everything I do it for you. Merci bien. That's French, isn't it? Ha ha ha. I am glad at least one person is in a good mood. He's even humming a song to himself. What the hell, Judge? I remember the old man arrived not long after him, just after 2 p.m. Is interesting because this happens at 1:30. So kinda weird, right? Are you absolutely sure about the time? When I think really hard, I am sure it was just after 2. Oui. It is la time I stopped serving la lunch menu. Quite right. I always break for lunch when the restaurants are serving their specials. I have been known to wind up a case early just to make it on time. That's horrible. Haha! I guess you should never get between a hungry judge and his lunch. Oh, would you look at that? It's almost lunchtime already. No, no. Witness, get on with your testimony, please. Save me from this old man. There were no other customers. So wait. So you're saying the old man arrived at 2. So here's what I'm thinking. My man, the real man, arrived actually at 1:30. Before 1:30, around then. Then, freaking the poisoning occurred with no witnesses. He was poisoned. Where did they put the body then? Took him in the kitchen, I'm guessing. And then they dressed up, and then she got knocked out, obviously. She was also taken in the kitchen. Then after that, old man arrived, and they did the whole act. And then called the police and then put the actual body back over there. That's what I think. Okay. There were no other customers. Hold it. So your only customers were Mr. Kudo and the victim.
Objection!
Objection. Oh, more coffee. How many times do you need to ask the same thing, Wright? You'd never catch me drinking the same blend twice. Huh? You are trying to establish the presence of a phony victim in the restaurant. But you're wasting your time. Can't grind bird seed to make coffee, if you catch my drift. Right, more coffee. But there's a hole in this testimony somewhere, I'm sure of it. Yeah, I know where it is, the time is wrong. When he got word he won the La Lottery, Mon Elk became very excited. Did you see him? No, I was in the kitchen, but I heard him. I remember him shouting, yes, $500,000. Presumably, the defendant heard that too then, correct? Maggie? She looked like a poor little frightened dove. And what about Mr. Kudo? The old man choked on some bird seeds that got stuck in his throat. It seems we now have yet another incident on our hands. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. Hold it. And what were you doing at that point? Without any customers, you must have had time to kill. I am a multi-talented woman, monsieur. Sorry, what do you mean? There is la renowned chef Jean Armstrong and la tragic poet Clarice Armstrong. Clarice? Oui, I was writing a poem, an angry tale of a chef with $500,000 of debt. Looking for a man who won $500,000 on la lottery. It is called pourquoi. It means why. Perhaps I could recite it for la court. Please don't. I think I read that, but no, there was no time for a phony to do la acting. The acting happened afterwards. You mean you contacted the police as soon as the incident occurred? I asked la old man to call from the payphone. By your own argument, right? The purpose of this phony victim's performance was so the old man would see it. In other words, once the incident occurred, this opportunity would completely disappear. Indeed. Yeah, it seems the shadow of doubt has been lifted, n'est-ce pas? I guess Mr. Armstrong is connected to this case, huh? Absolutely. Someone was impersonating Mr. Elg, and I refuse to believe he was oblivious. He was there the whole time after all. But if you're right, wouldn't Maggie have noticed too? She fell unconscious when the incident occurred, remember? Ah, you mean that's when the phony staged his act? We'll know for sure once I find a hole in this testimony. I already have found it. It's right here. It doesn't make sense the old man arrived around 2. Because the freaking radio show is at 1:30. I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong. Qui? What do you mean? At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announced the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket. Oui, that must be the show Mon Elg was listening to. I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright. I wonder. You say the victim arrived at your restaurant after 2 p.m., correct? Oui, oui. I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time because I had just finished serving the lunch menu. Get to the point, right, if you have one. That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. And it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life. It's on the air at 1:30? Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he had won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. Because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time. No! This victim we've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum, catching a show that was already over. There is only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. This victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Yep. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elgs in Trebian that day. The real Glen Elg, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer, and the phony Glen Elg, acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness. It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy?
Objection!
Really? Quite a performance, right? You were almost on a roll. What's your problem now? No. But sadly, you lack the hard foundation of rhythm to build your song. What is this? Music Theory 101? Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. Yeah. The phony elk is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. Slam. How do you explain then where the real Glen Elk is? I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court. However, in the kitchen, probably? At that time, the real Glen Elk was already dead. That's certainly the obvious conclusion.
Objection!
Objection again. Thank you, Wright. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. What? Now I presume you can prove this theory of yours? Can you explain where the missing corpse went to? The missing corpse? According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. If that customer was the phony Glenn Elg, then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim? Nard, in the kitchen. The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Okay, save again. It's in the kitchen, obviously. Where did the killer hide the body? Yes, Your Honor. No conjecture, Wright. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden. Oh, the bottle. Evidence. What's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden? I thought I had him with that contradiction. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead. Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. Elg concealed? Inside Trebia, obviously. It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Trebia. Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside the restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. The exact location where the body was concealed inside Trebia was the kitchen. The body was hidden here. I see. Nice supposition. But the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location? Bottle of ear medicine. Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle? No. I have never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. The highest quality only for me. Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright? Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of Trebia. Quoi? But I only ever use these bottles for my aromatherapy oils. No. But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication. What kind of medication? I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. Elg visited an ornithological clinic and was given medication that day. Which was missing. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle match the prescription that was given to Mr. Elg. Wow. Glenn Elg's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen. At which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen? Mon Dieu. Yes. You know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Bird. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back. No. Order. This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn Elg? No, not him. Never! I could not do such a horrible thing. Oh, the tiger. No! Tiger, or is he exploding? Oh, Godot is streaming though. Mr. Godot. There's more coffee in there? The bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules. Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now? Then I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. He's gonna throw his cup at me. Listen up, chef. Oh, I did. How about a brand new flavor in your ear? My H deficient friend. No H deficient. Je vous demande pardon. Please, you must hear me out. It's a trap. Listen to me, por favor. Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor is Spanish. Great. I am only going to ask you once. Did you do it? No, 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 absolutely no. He hit the body. Let's hear it. You've got one shot, right, Cramps? Witness, the court will permit you the chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. As does my gavel. It is clear. What do they always say in the movies? I've got a bad feeling about this. Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong. The confession, witness testimony, but he did not kill. It is true. I hid the body in the kitchen. Is H deficient as you heard? Alright, but we'll see this in the next one. He's not the killer. We know he's not the killer, but he did help the real killer do the dirty deed. So, part of it. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.